and welcome to Fantasy Baseball Picks and Bets presented by PrizePicks.com here on the Mayo Media Network. You know what to do. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, check out all the great MLB content coming out of the Mayo Media Network, including picks for PrizePicks.com and DraftKings Strategy. I'm your host, David Jones, at Tenacious D Jones on Twitter. I'm from the FTN Network, FTN Daily, FTNBets.com. Come check us out. We have a ton of guys and gals breaking down every single sport for fantasy and for season long and for your drafts and your bets. We do a lot of stuff over there. You've probably seen us on Twitter. If not, go give FTN Daily and FTN Bets Twitter a follow as well. Look, let's talk about Prize Picks, show sponsored by Prize Picks. If you don't know what Prize Picks is, you're betting on the fantasy output, the overs or unders of the fantasy output of any sport, but let's talk about baseball today. So you're not just picking prop over and under like you would with the bookie. You're saying, hey, will Vlad Guerrero Jr. go over 10 fantasy points? Will Kyle Tucker go over 7.5, whatever it is? You say over, under, that's it. You can even parlay those together. So you could stack a couple picks together like you would stack on DraftKings and DFS, or you can parlay a bunch of different guys together and hopefully hit the nuts. Seems like there's an edge there still. Letting you parlay player props seems like a good way to go. Seems like a good way to make money. Let's talk about a couple of them. When you go over to prizepicks.com, use the code MMN, MLB, as in Mayo Media Network, Major League Baseball, when you sign up. MMN, MLB. Finally got it down. First pick we're going to talk about, it's going to be Vlad Guerrero Jr. I have to assume, I didn't look at all of them, but it's one of the higher over-unders I've ever seen. On Prize Picks. It's 10 fantasy points for Vlad Guerrero Jr. Guy hits a lot of home runs. And I don't care how high it is. I'm going to still take the over because the Toronto Blue Jays are in a fantastic spot on Friday night against Matt Harvey. Matt Harvey is not good at stopping runs. He has a 7.80 ERA so far this season. He hardly ever makes it over 4 innings because he's just getting blasted. And then you have the on again, off again Baltimore bullpen coming in, who they used a lot of on Thursday night, and they should continue to give up runs. We know the Toronto Blue Jays are one of the best offenses. We know Vlad hits homers. He's not going to be in the home run contest in Colorado. If you haven't heard, he has declined to work on his game, to kind of recharge his batteries, is what he said, and I kind of like the move. I'd like to see him in Coors hitting homers. Don't get me wrong, but that seems like a pretty focused move to me. Hope he's focused on Friday night against Matt Harvey. We're going to take over 10 fantasy points for Vlad Guerrero Jr. just because he's going to get there. Home run. He's going to get on base twice. I'm pretty confident in this. Matt Harvey, I just told you the whole thing. I'm going to talk more about Matt Harvey here in a second. Vlad over. Second one is going to be Max Muncy of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Max Muncy going up against Jake Arrieta, someone he has owned in the past. He's hit 2 homers off him in the past. He's one of the best hitters, if not the best hitters, on the Dodgers right now. Jake Arrieta has given up 2 homers in each of his last 3 games. No, that's not right. 3 homers in his last 8 innings. That's a different stat we're going to talk about later. So Jake Arrieta has given up 3 homers in his last 8 innings for a 5.46 ERA. Max Muncy, I told you he's hit a couple homers off him already. 2 homers for 7.76 WOBA just against Arrieta in a decent sample size. I think it's been like 4 or 5 games that he's played, maybe 3 or 4, but that's still pretty good. We know he's got the power bat. It's going to be in Los Angeles. I like it. I don't like Arrieta. So take the over there too. That's over 8. Max Muncy, over 8. Vlad. Betting unders is no fun unless you want to look at some unders for the Pittsburgh Pirates, but we'll do that another show. Let's talk about DraftKings. You know what to do with DraftKings. You're trying to stack up a couple teams, trying to pick a couple pitchers that are going to score highest, or maybe not even score highest all the time, but have the best value on the slate as a whole, as a unit. So where are we going to go? Let's talk about pitchers first. Couple pitchers I like on this slate. I'm looking at Adam Wainwright pretty close. There's a couple guys in the mid-range I'm looking at. I'll write them up over at ftndaily.com. But my top arm is going to be Framber Valdez. He's the second highest priced pitcher over on DraftKings. That's okay. I can still get with Valdez because I'm just in on what he can do against these Detroit Tigers. They cannot hit lefties on the season. They have the 3rd least amount of homers against lefties, the 4th worst runs scored, fourth worst RBIs, and ninth worst team average against lefties at 225. They are not good against lefties. Anyone that goes up against them and is a lefty, they typically do very well in DFS. So I'm going to be on board. The only three bats you really have to worry about with Valdez is people who hit lefties well. Jonathan Scope's been on fire. Robbie Grossman, Eric Haas can do it. But those are the only three guys. Literally everyone else in the lineup cannot do it. So even if Framber Valdez gives up a bomb, it's not going to kill you. You can give up a run or two and get it back with strikeouts. Now, Valdez has a 1.67 ERA on the season. He's won every single game that he started. He's got the Houston offense behind him. They should let him go long. The Houston offense should support him to get the win. People that will look at game logs are going to see that he only struck out 2 against the Twins, which was his worst on the year in his 4 starts, but he still got 17 DraftKings points in that start, which to me is an extraordinarily safe floor. Imagine only getting 2 strikeouts, getting the win, and getting 17 DK points. That's the floor. So he should go over that. He can get 7, maybe 8 Ks. I'm leaning more probably towards 7. He's got a 71.1% ground ball rate on the season, 22.2% K. Framber Valdez is my top arm against the Detroit Tigers, who don't hit lefties. Seems pretty easy. If you want the rest of the pitchers, go over to ftndaily.com. You got to pick another one. I told you I'm looking at Adam Wainwright. Not 100% sold on SP2 yet, but I'm looking at him pretty close. Next, let's talk about the stack. Look, I think Friday, it's going to be pretty easy. It's very obvious who your top stack should be, and it's going to be chalk, which means a lot of people are going to own it. But also don't forget, you don't have to get weird with every single position. If you know where offense is going to come from on one side, you just got to hit the other, perhaps contrarian stack as your other team, hit the right pitchers, and just put up a lot of points. You're in the money. Don't worry about fading them too much. Big slates, the big teams tend to be lower owned than they should be. And if you haven't figured it out yet, we're talking about the Toronto Blue Jays, one of the best offenses in the league. I believe they have the 5th or 6th most runs in the league on the season so far. It gave them a boost playing in Tampa, but they are still an outstanding squad. They added George Springer back into the mix. He was off Thursday. I think he plays Friday. We'll have to wait and see. We'll like George Springer if he plays Friday. Matt Harvey mentioned it earlier, 7.80 ERA on the season. His last start was against the Toronto Blue Jays. He gave up 4 earned runs on 9 hits in 4.1 innings. That's really, really bad, but it's actually better than what he did the 2 starts before that. He gave up a combined 12 earned runs in 6.1 innings over the last 2. He's got a 39.7% ground ball rate, which isn't good. That means the rest of them are in the air, and he's only getting 17.1% Ks on the season. Blue Jays popped off against Baltimore on Thursday night. You can expect them to do it again. They're the top offense. The Vegas total for their team is 6.5. Last time I looked, that was plus money. They probably go over that. That's a high total, but I think they still go over that if you wanted to get some plus money bets in. All right, so let's talk about the bats that we like for the Blue Jays. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is obviously going to be your top bat in his last 189 at-bats. He's got 20 home runs, hitting 490 WOBA, 390 ISO. He's insane. You'll love Vlad Guerrero Jr. going over 10 fantasy points, almost certainly. Marcus Semien right behind him. 11 home runs in his last 192 at-bats, hitting 370 WOBA, 240 ISO. He's my second favorite bat on the Toronto Blue Jays. He has the second best ISO and WOBA for the Toronto Blue Jays against righties, aside from George Springer, which is not a large sample size. Hopefully Springer plays. Bo Bichette after him, 10 homers his last 211 at-bats, hitting 330. Teoscar Hernandez, 6 homers in his last 155, but really heating up the past 2 weeks, hitting 310 in that time span. Kevin Biggio behind him, like him, and then George Springer I mentioned. Whatever bat they put him in, it could be 5, 4, 6, wherever he's at, he's going to be lined up well. He was off Thursday. He's going to be playing Friday. We hope. If he is, you can play him. Super easy to play these Blue Jays. It is just going to make a lot of sense against Harvey. I think they go over the Vegas 6.5 at plus money. I am pretty sure, like I said, Vlad's going over 10 fantasy points. So hop aboard the Toronto Blue Jays Express. Don't overthink it. They're in a great spot. If they fail, hopefully they don't. I don't think they're going to fail. Then just know you did the right thing by playing the Toronto Blue Jays against hopefully Matt Harvey. Should be Matt Harvey. Last time Matt Harvey was lined up to go, They pulled him the night before. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. I don't think it can. I think they're going to need him by going through some of those bullpen arms today or Thursday night, depending on when you watch this, when the Blue Jays lit them up. Cool. So let's talk about some one-off bats that we're going to be interested in. I prefer to stack teams, but if you need just one bat here or there, these are the guys I'm looking at. Kyle Tucker versus Willie Peralta, probably going to be batting 6 for the best offense in the league. The Houston Astros, boy, they are hot right now. They're crushing everyone, and they're getting a lot of good pitching matchups. He's going to be going up against Willie Peralta. 8 homers in his last 142 at-bats. That is tied for first with a couple of his Houston Astros teammates. I know one's Altuve. The other one's Carlos Correa. So he's cheaper than both of those guys, hitting 390s last 142 with 8 homers. You can play Kyle Tucker, Matt Olson. Maybe my favorite one-off bat on the slate. I like Oakland again. There's another stack for you. On Friday night, going up against Johnny Cueto. I don't love that it's in the Giants' park, which is a pitcher's park, but you can still hit homers there. Matt Olson could. 138 at-bats, 10 home runs, hitting .410. Against Cueto, he's hit 2 homers off him before, hitting Cueto himself at .644 WOBA. I like Matt Olson. I like Matt Olson a lot. After that, Max Muncy versus Jake Arrieta. Talked about it in the prize pick section. He has also hit 2 homers off Arrieta, but he's got Arrieta, like I said, allowed 3 homers in his last 8 innings for 5.46 ERA. Muncy, 7.76 WOBA against Arrieta himself, and he's the best home run hitter on the Dodgers right now in Los Angeles. I like it. Justin Upton after him, I think might be sneaky. The time to play the Los Angeles Angels is when they go against left-handed pitchers. I prefer them at their home park, but that's okay. They're going to be starting going up against Josh Fleming of the Tampa Bay Rays, who I expect them to let him go as long as he can against this squad. They do have a good bullpen that they can pull in at any time, but he's going to have to give up a few runs at least to get pulled early. And I think Justin Upton could hit a little leadoff homer against him or get him when it comes back around. Hopefully Fleming stays in to see him 2-3 times. I think he probably does, unless he's just getting pounded, which I think he probably does. Angels versus lefties is a good thing to play. After that, Drake Cronenworth, he's been heating up, going up against probably Matt Peacock of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Not a guy that you have to avoid by any means in DFS. If it's not going to be Matt Peacock, then it should be the Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen. We have to wait and see Friday morning. But any of those scenarios, Peacock starting, bullpen game for Arizona Diamondbacks was essentially what it is with Peacock starting. You're going to want to get some of these San Diego Padres. I'll tell you what, I've been watching some Padres games, and the crowd is lit in San Diego. They're even throwing some haymakers. They're putting up a lot of runs. San Diego Padres, Jake Cronenworth, last 179 at-bats, 6 homers, 340. I don't care so much about what he's done on the season, even though he's been fine, but lately he has surely been heating up. Him, Tatis Machado, stack him up. Next, let's talk about some bets. Those are all the one-off hitters I got for you. And the bets is pretty much just a summary of what I've been talking about on the show. I think Oakland is in a good spot, and I think the money line is fair. I think I saw it at -112. Oakland money line against San Francisco Giants, who are kind of ticking down the second half of the season. I know we're not there, but we're close. It's almost all-star game. And Oakland ticking up, one of the highest barrel rates in the MLB. I like the Oakland A's to win. And then I'm going to take the Padres over 4.5. I just talked about how much I like Cronenworth, Tatis, Machado, the whole squad in San Diego. That seems low. I expect that to be 5 or 5.5 by game time tomorrow. So give me the Padres over 4.5. In summary, Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to rake. Max Muncy is going to rake. Max Muncy, that's cool. Oakland money line, Padres over 4.5. Target Matt Harvey with the Toronto Blue Jays. And you're going to pitch Framber Valdez. Hopefully this works out for you. I think it's pretty cut and dry. We will see tomorrow, Friday night. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Come check me out on Twitter at TenaciousDJones and go over to prizepicks.com. Use that code MMNMLB. Good luck.